But today I have two questions to ask you. The first one is that does Kundalini energy can affect the people around me? Because one night I have spending in my mother's room, and then in the morning she just removed her iPhone from her bed because she said that last night there is like the signal that disturb her brain, and she can feel the tingling on her brain, and she said it like that, and it actually happening to us all every night, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that probably our energy can affect her. And also sometimes she said that some nights that I spend with her, she will get like the heat all night, like from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., something like this. And my second question is that actually I have never seen you wear the bracelet or like some, I can call it like protection device, from, maybe negative energy or maybe like some dark entities. So I would like to ask you, is it really important? Because I for me, myself, I have amethyst that I use right now, but I have heard from many people that actually we can control it. We can control everything around us. So don't be scared of the dark energy or the negative entity, something like this. So only two questions. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Great questions. So I'll address your second question first. No, I don't use any crystals or items for protection. I have the Kundalini. I have the light in me, right? So everywhere I go, I'm safe. It's okay. And I know this. I've established a high degree of trust within the light that's inside of me. And so I don't seem to need to rely on any items for protection. I can also invoke my guides who are benevolent and they have my back. Many people have different guides. For me, there are, one is my late friend, Ganesh, Kali, Christ. They're all with me. And so I don't need any items to protect me. I do see the validity in, crystals and beads and whatnot. It's valid. If that makes you feel confident, then so be it. Ultimately, it comes down to the feeling of confidence. So sometimes a trinket gives us permission to feel confident. There are, of course, some valid, I guess you could say, scientific qualities to things like crystals and the vibrations they emit and whatnot. Of course, nothing wrong with that stuff, as long as you don't feel I'm I'm vulnerable and at risk unless I have these trinkets. No, no, you have the Kundalini within you. You have the light within you, and just by recognizing that, you'll be safe. So that's why I don't necessarily use those things. I have some stuff on my altar and whatnot from earlier parts of my journey, and maybe later on I may, wear some sort of crystal or something. But generally speaking, this is my approach. The next question you had, or the first question you had, was, can our Kundalini energy influence other people? It absolutely can. And so I'll speak to that specifically, but in general, our energy influences other people, whether we're Kundalini awakened or not. If you're happy, you're depressed, you're anxious, people to varying degrees are sensitive. They'll pick up on it. They may not say anything. They may not know it's you. They may not know what it is, but we're all picking up on our energy. And this is proven by science. The heart is emitting a electromagnetic field from the heart, and it's emitting that, and it's also picking up on others' electromagnetic fields, which extend, I don't know how wide, but it's pretty wide. I would say at least a couple meters outside of our body, but I bet it's even further than that. So Kundalini awakened or not, we're all influencing one another. Now let's speak about those with awakened Kundalini. Yes, of course, you're absolutely radiating a very powerful presence in our aura, in our energetic field, and others who are sensitive may perceive it and comment on it or take conscious note of it. Others who are maybe not as sensitive may be experiencing the effects, but may not consciously recognize that something interesting is happening. Others may have no comment or any conscious recognition or any unconscious recognition of it. So it's not like anybody who shares a room with you at night is going to feel something. Most people probably won't. But some who maybe are, intimately connected with us or sensitive, they may pick up on something or the other. It also comes down to where they are at in their journey. If they're at a point where it's now time for them to become receptive to a little bit of, the Shakti that's being radiated, they may pick up on it. Does this mean that they're going to have a full Kundalini awakening? Probably not. Some people, it's very short-lived, and that's okay. It's part of their journey. We have lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes to go through this process. And even a brief encounter with somebody who's going through Kundalini awakening and picking up on it a little bit is pretty significant. It's even for one lifetime, it's a pretty big deal. So we can say that. Also, when we are ungrounded, which in other words means our nervous system has not yet been acclimated to holding that energy within our system, we can start to spill it over and others may begin to pick up on it. So it's twofold. Very early on, I think maybe within the first couple months of this awakening, I remember being at a party and it was very early on in this party. So people hadn't started drinking, hadn't started smoking, nothing really was going on. Just a few friends sitting at the dinner table. And I was feeling really high, like psychedelic, spiritual high, And my friend says, I'm feeling kind of high, feeling kind of high. And I said, this is very early on in my process. Arrogantly, I said, "Oh, it's me. I had this awakening, and I'm doing that to you. It's spilling over." Of course, that also coincides with me being ungrounded, talking a bit too much about this, out of place. But yes, because I was ungrounded, the energy was spilling over and everybody was picking up on it and feeling all sorts of weird ways. Now, because I'm grounded, I actually find that my energy is much more contained and I don't have so much spillover. But if somebody's sensitive, then they may pick up on a thing or two. And it's very common for somebody nearby to maybe even experience a spontaneous kriya being near you. These things can happen. If they start to ask a lot of questions or start to go through some sort of distress, you may consider sharing some resources with them about it, just kind of handing it to them and then letting go. If they want to explore it, if they don't, that's up to them. But these are some things you can consider. But yes, we are always communicating, radiating, and transmitting our energy, our frequency. And so yes, it's a very real thing. Some people do have some fear, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cause my loved one to go through what I went through. It's very difficult awakening process. I don't want to do that to them. Don't worry, don't worry. We all have our own journey, our own karma, and there's a divine orchestration unfolding here. And so if somebody needs to go through an awakening, they will, and that will be their destiny. It will all work out in the long run, okay?
Right. It's like you can read my mind because I was about to ask if it's dangerous for my mother, like to if is she going to go through the same thing that I did. And also one of my friend, I just changed my job, right? And I just worked there for like 2 or 3 days, and then somebody like my colleague just picked up the energy, and then he just talked with me about Kundalini awakening and pineal gland activation, something like this. So I will like give the necessary suggestions for him. Thank you so much, Brent.
Great, great. You're so welcome. And just for the record here, this idea of transmission that we're talking about here is more in a passive way, but there is an active way, in case you're wondering, where it's called Shakti pot, where somebody who has developed this astute ability can consciously and actively transmit this energy to another person. This is what Kenneth was speaking about earlier, was an activation process. So he went to like an event and the facilitator actively transmitted it to a person. So that is typically much more of a powerful type of awakening than a more passive transmission. But just for the record here, there is an active way as well.